Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to 2024's last webinar. And I think today's topic summarizes key topics of 2024, which is innovation, cost efficiency, and new digital technologies. We have a very good panel today, and I'll just hand over the floor to our panelists to introduce themselves before we start with today's topic. I think we'll start with Mr. Akber first.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for inviting us for such a good topic to discuss about the innovation, how innovation compensate with the cost efficiency. My name is Akber Ahmed Khowaja. I am head of information technology in Aga Khan Hospital, Tanzania, and I am looking after 29 outreach centers in the Tanzania for Aga Khan Hospital.
Thank you. Welcome and thank you for your time today. Very interesting. I think we don't regularly have guests joining us from Tanzania, so it'll be good to interact with you. Moving to Dr. Umair.
Okay, thank you, sir, for inviting me. I'm Dr. UmairKhalid from Saudi Arabia. I moved last year here in 2023. So we are almost in 2025. So it's been more than a year since I'm here in Almajdouie Motors in Saudi Arabia. I'm playing the role of strategic innovation and growth leader here, trying to introduce different innovations in the automotive industry and trying to link it with tech. I've spent around 19 years overall in the industry. 17 to 18 of those years were in the IT industry, and then I moved to the automotive industry. So a big shift for me, a paradigm shift, moving to a new region, new industry, new role. So it's exciting, and thanks for inviting and having this discussion.
No, absolutely. Very interesting. Not just moving countries, but moving sectors as well. Which city are you based in? Saudi?
I'm based in Khobar, Dammam, basically.
Okay. Okay. And finally, Mr. Jamil, please introduce yourself.
I am looking after Swiss Southern Gas Company as a group head, Swiss Southern and a few of our sister concerns, and I overall looking after the whole IT division across SSGC in Sindh and Balochistan, and also in our sister concerns. And mainly we are focused into transformation and automation, and most of our applications are already in the way or already migrated towards the new technology trends. So far, working on the latest technology trends in order to opt the latest technology trends for better customer support and services.
Excellent. I'm very excited to host today's webinar. Our speakers are from, well, they're leaders in their field and they're from different sectors. Akbar is from the sort of the healthcare sector, where was in ICT. He's now in the automotive sector, but I'm sure there's some crossover. And Mr. Jamil is, well, he's in a very, very key sector, a major utility sector in Pakistan, and also looking after ICT. So I think we'll start with, I guess, a very straightforward question given today's topic, which is that, and so this question is will be addressed by each of you in turn. What encouraged your respective organization to prioritize digital innovation? So I have this question has two limbs. I'll start with the first limb first. So, Mr. Akbar, what and we know all of us know Aga Khan is leading. It's a household name when it comes to healthcare, um, health education, hospitals. But how long has Aga Khan been actively looking to prioritize digital innovation, and what are the factors that continuously motivate you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sahar. Ms. Sahar, thank you very much for asking this question. You know, Aga Khan Hospital is one of the leading hospital in the Pakistan, and if we look the Aga Khan Development Network, we work worldwide for the healthcare sector, and we are working in the education sector. So, digitization and innovation has been always the highest priority for the Aga Khan Hospital, because we believe without digitization and innovation, we cannot run the big show. So, Aga Khan Hospital Karachi was one of the pioneer in the digitization. We implemented system in Aga Khan Hospital Karachi since day one. If I'm talking about Aga Khan Hospital, Tanzania, we are managing two hospital in the country. One is in the Mwanza and one is the Dar es Salaam, the capital of and the biggest hospital in Tanzania. We are managing 28 outreach centers in the Tanzania along with these hospitals, and we all the centers are working as hub and spoke model. So we have centralized system, and we have centralized database for all the patients, and all the centers are point to point connected with our centralized system. And we implemented the system since day one, because we believe that without having good system in place, without having the good digitization in place, we cannot serve the patients. So the factor which motivated us, we believe that patient care is our first. We, being a JCIA institution,
That's right.
patient care is our first priority. And the second important thing is the reduction of the medical errors, because having the good systems in place, having the digitalization in place, innovation in place, we can reduce the medical errors, and we can smoothen the operations. So these three factors actually motivates us to prioritize the digital innovations, and we are on it. And recently we are moving our systems to one of the leading healthcare system, that is the Meditex electronic health record, and it's under implementation. And inshallah, by the mid of 2025, this that system will be in place. While we are talking about your second part of that question, that is the cost efficiency, we need to define first the inefficiency of the services. So we need to calculate the cost of inefficiency of the services, what we are paying due to inefficiency, what we are paying due to medical errors, what we are paying due to patient delays, what we are paying due to lag time. So once we calculate that cost, we can easily calculate the cost of efficiency. So later on, we will be defining that. So I'm concluding my answer here. Later on, in that session, I will define how we can calculate the cost of inefficiency and how we can calculate the cost of efficiency.
Yes, thank you. We will speak more about cost efficiency and inefficiency in a bit. But I think you raised some very, very important points. Given the sector that you operate in, you're literally dealing with people's lives. So there should be no room for any error. And as you said, your primary motive is patient welfare. Um, Dr. Umair, I'll just come to you in a second, but just sort of circling back on Akbar, what you said. So, you're based in Tanzania and you're looking after the IT sort of IT system of two Aga Khan hospitals in Tanzania. And just to add to what you said, Aga Khan not only is one of the best hospitals in Pakistan, I think it's one of the best hospitals in the region. So is we have. I'm in Karachi, and I've grown up hearing about and visiting an Aga Khan. You know, when need arises. My brother is a graduate of Aga Khan, and he was also sent to Tanzania for a few weeks for some, I don't know, some course. But is the IT system that you're overlooking in Tanzania the same as what is being rolled out here in Pakistan for your Aga Khan hospital in Pakistan?
No. So if we are talking about the Africa region, we have Kenya, we have the one hospital, big hospital in Nairobi, and we have the hospital in Tanzania. So Kenya and Tanzania and Aga Khan Hospital Karachi have been using three different systems. Kenya has their own ecosystem and they have their own outreach centers. Tanzania have their own ecosystem, but all comes under AKTN. So they have been using different system, but our objective and goal is same. So what we decided now as a part of Acadian level that we should have one system, like you said, we should have one system for the better analysis, regional level analysis, and for better data capturing. So we decided to go with the one system. Nairobi have implemented Meditech EHR last year. I believe it was in 2022, November 2022, they went live with the Meditech EHR system. The next is the Tanzania. We are going live in 2025, and that will be hopefully in the mid of 2025. We will go live with the Meditech EHR. Aga Khan in parallel, Aga Khan Hospital Karachi in parallel has started the implementation of Meditech EHR. So all three hospitals now will be on the same system. So we are under implementation of the all three systems, and the next will be the Aga Khan Health Services, like Aga Khan Health Services, Aga Khan Diagnostic Centers, Aga Khan Health Services Pakistan, and all rural areas where our health centers are there. They will also be using the same system. So then we can say we have one health global system across the Aga Khan Development Network.
Okay, that's good to hear because Aga Khan Karachi has massive operations and look forward to what you're saying. Dr. Umair, sorry to keep you waiting, but are you a doctor by education as well? Was it
Yes.
your yes?
So my education is I'm PhD in technology entrepreneurship. So I'm not an MBBS doctor, although I have been very closely working with the healthcare sector, and I would love to have the doctor MBBS doctor also in my name. But yeah, on a serious note, I am a doctor because of my doctorate in technology entrepreneurship, and that was related to technological innovation.
That's amazing, and that's no mean feat. So why don't you tell us about bringing innovation and so because you've been in sort of two sectors. Right now you're in the automotive sector. So maybe, using your experience, your 18, 20 years of experience, I'll pose the same question for you. What led your organization and both all organizations or both organizations you've worked in to really think about innovation, implementing digital technologies to cost efficiency? So same question for you.
Okay, so first let me clarify this boundary development between among the sectors. So now the boundary between the sectors is now quite blurred. So with so much digitization going on, often it is very difficult to restrict an organization into a particular sector. You will see the healthcare sector going into digitization, automotive sector, and even some of the
That's
software services, they basically forward integrate and they go into the sector that they are serving. Like some of the fintech organizations, they are going into the banking sector. So these sectorial boundaries, I would say, or the industry boundaries, they are quite blurred now. So coming to your question on what motivated us, I think there's so much disruption going on that digitization or digital innovation, that is not even a choice. So it is not even a debate that you have to go towards digital innovation or not, because if you have to retain your competitive advantage, if you have to survive in the market, it's I think it's critical to have that balancing effect. So now the decisions that you have to take is you want to be reactive to the disruption that is going around you, or you want to take a lead and be proactive in it. So that is based on the appetite, risk appetite, or the tech savviness of the decision makers, that how quickly they can adopt the emerging emerging technologies, or how quickly they can take risks and introduce new technologies in the organization. So we were basically quite obsessed with customer satisfaction and the customer experience, because this region in this region, if you're selling cars, it's not only about selling cars, it's about giving a unique experience to your customer. So there is a very high demanding customer base with regards to the customer experience. So that basically calls for a lot of innovation in how you uh, upgrade your call centers, how you upgrade your service centers, what new services or new technologies you can give to your customers. So basically, most of our innovation was driven from the customer experience, and obviously, some of the innovations are related to the cost efficiency that when we go forward, we'll talk more about that. So these two were the main drivers, I think, the cost efficiency and the customer experience that led to the technological innovation in our company.
So one common point between your response and Akbar's response is customer satisfaction, because Aga Khan's customers are its patients, and you mentioned the same. Um, I'll actually once I speak to Mr. Jamil, I'll come back to you on your point regarding disruption. Um, but just before I go to Mr. Jamil, you've recently relocated to Middle East, and Middle East is a very dynamic region at the moment, uh, due to many aspects. Did you see any difference uh, in this? So what we're, and I agree with you that when it comes to digital technologies or innovation, it doesn't matter which sector you're in, because you're sort of implementing the same, your end goal is the same. But did you see any difference in what was being implemented in Pakistan when you were working in Pakistan compared to Saudi?
Yeah, so both, I think, both markets have their own dynamics. In Pakistan, people are usually more inclined towards technology, but they're obviously their
Really?
purchasing power and their cost efficiencies and everything. There are certain challenges in the adoption of those technologies from the environmental perspective. Here in Saudi Arabia, it is known to be a more traditional market, but the new generation that is coming up, the younger generation, they are now quite tech savvy. So they have their own demands for the latest technologies that are coming up, and they have the resources, the right resources for the adoption of these technologies. So I think it is quite an emerging market right now, and in few years you will see a lot of things happening in the entire region, not just in Saudi Arabia, that will take it even beyond some of the Western countries in some aspects. So I can see the potential here with regards to the adoption of technologies and technological innovation here.
No, absolutely. I think all of us can. Although Saudi has been a little late, as you said, it's a traditional society. It has been a little late opening up to this arena, but it's going to catch up very quickly. And as you said, it's going to actually surpass and overtake a lot of other countries. And you make a very interesting point regarding, so Pakistan has always had a large young population, working population. And again, very interesting point that while Pakistanis would like to see more digital technologies, unfortunately, we face sort of macro level inhibitions and restrictions, unavailability or lack of spending power, and there's been instability in the country, etc. Hopefully, in the years to come, we'll see something more stable, because I personally feel, and I digress a little bit, as a country, we are not where we should have been. I mean, I think we're at least sort of 8 to 10 years behind. Back in 2015, 16, when there was a lot of talk about digital technologies, 5G, e-commerce, and even the government was sort of inclined towards it and publishing laws. But then, we had changing governments, and we've had pandemic, which I think slowed down our country's progress on this. Mr. Jamil, sorry to keep you waiting. You work in one of the key utility companies in Pakistan. Every day, everybody talks about Sri Southern Gas or Sri Northern Gas. And we don't really associate when, so as a common man, when we talk about Sri Southern Gas, we don't really think about Sri Southern Gas and digital technology, because I think your customers, their main desire is to receive uninterrupted gas supply. So, same question to you. How have you, or how has your sort of organization introduced digital technology? Why has it introduced digital technology? And where do you see it going forward?
Yes, Swiss Southern and Swiss Northern, whenever we talk about them, generally people ask it's Sui gas. In fact, we are in the southern part. We cater the requirement of Sindh and Balochistan province, and rest of the region lies with SNGPL. When it comes to the gas utility, as a gas utility, we are primarily focused to supply uninterrupted gas. That is for the customers, as per the customer's need. But when it comes to innovation, in innovation, we are also, as both my colleagues said, that customer experience in any case is of prime importance. So what we do is that by opting these technology innovations, we are offering extended services to our customers. Like before 1 or 2 decades, we used to see that there were larger queues outside the banks just to pay the bill. But now you have alternate channels. With the innovations, we are offering these incentives to our customers, because customers are our primary focus. And when it comes to the innovation, it becomes cost effective in a way that it's not only in the monetary term that SSGC is earning, it also employs to the customers. If they can pay their bill while sitting at home through their mobile app, applications are on their palms, and they can just access, see their bill and pay that instantly. This is one of the very very means simplest example if we see. Otherwise, if we see, the customers need various informations for various purposes. So with innovation, what we offer is that we extend the real-time systems to all of our customer facilitation centers, so that they have the access of that information instantly, despite of waiting for hours or days. So with these, if we club these features all together, that they are having access through digital medias, they are having their information instantly, they can pay anytime, and they have the flexibility. Especially after that COVID time, we primarily focused on automation and digitization. And after that, we can see that there is a big change. Our CFCs used to be full of the people most of the time, especially during winters. But now we can see that there is a big change in the rush of people in our CFCs, because they can have informations through the web, through the mobile application, and they can pay the bills through their mobile applications or through SSGC's applications as well. And they can use any of their channel, and any information they need anytime, they can request online. Or if they want to update their systems, their details, they can simply go online and fill up the forms and get that amended. And any amendments are reflected in the systems seamlessly, and that is all hassle free. They don't need to go. And that is also a good initiative in terms of cost saving, that we are saving fuel. Roads are not used, vehicles are not used, they are sitting at home, and just on few clicks they can have those services at their palm top.
Thank you. No, I completely agree. In fact, one common factor between amongst responses given by each of you is that your primary product or service. So basically, digital innovation is ancillary to your primary product or service. In Mr. Akbar's case, it's provision of healthcare. In Umair's case, it's automobile. In your case, it's provision of gas supply. So the reason why you're focusing on digital technology is to make the overall experience better. And I agree with you, Mr. Jamil, that and Umair, in fact, this was going to be my next question, both for you and Mr. Akbar, and Mr. Jamil has touched upon it, which is how did the pandemic, we know the answer that the pandemic or the lockdown was a trigger to implementing digital technology more quickly than what we would have thought 5 or 6 years ago, but it was the need of the day. And Umair, you mentioned disruption. So I think the pandemic also caused a lot of disruption. And Mr. Jamil, as you said, something very basic. In my family, for instance, or me personally, I want to now do everything from the comfort of my home without going out because it's not, it's there's a lot of traffic on the road, there's a lot of pollution, petrol prices are increasing, so you don't want to have a driver in car just to go and pay your bills. In fact, I think personally, as a customer of Sweet Southern Gas, I think there's still room for improvement, but we've seen that innovation in the last couple of years, and I hope we see a lot more of it. So, Mr. Akbar, how did pandemic or what impact did pandemic have on bringing innovation or thinking about cost efficiency when implementing new digital technologies? You're on mute, Mr. Akbar, you're on mute.
So thank you very much, and that is really a good question. This has been asked many times during our last sessions. Actually, as an IT person, if you ask me this question for innovation, pandemic actually is our work, which supposed to be
That's
done in 10 years. We did that work in 1 year during the pandemic.
correct.
We were planning to do those things during a couple of years, but pandemic, pushed us to do those things. Like I was during the pandemic, I have been working with the Dr. Ziauddin Hospital for 5 years, and during the pandemic, I was there, and we were pushing our doctors to write the prescription on the system so that we reduce the medical errors, and that prescription should go to pharmacy directly, and we should go with the paperless environment. And in terms of patient visitors, we should use the cameras and video conferencing system. So when the visitors come, they should see their relatives online, and we should use the computers on wheel, computers on trolley, and blah blah, the dashboards. We were thinking a lot of things, but we planned to do those things with due course of time of 2 or 3 years. But during the pandemic, we started working on that. We started online payment system. We started the home care delivery system of the medicines, home care sample collection system. We went through the automation of the digital prescription. We stopped the paper-based doctor notes because in pandemics we reluctant to touch the files if the file has been already in the pandemic area and the isolation ward. So we went to the digital doctor's prescriptions, digital notes. I mean, the pandemics actually is our life. The things supposed to be done in due course of 2 or 3 or 4 years, we completed those things in a couple of months. So, as an IT person, pandemic really helped us a lot in digitization and innovation.
No, you're right. I think the pandemic removed a lot of mental hurdles, and it catapulted a lot of innovation that was a long time coming. And otherwise, as Umair said, I think Pakistan is also a traditional society. We're a cultural society. We like doing things which in the same way that have been happening for years and decades. And as a lawyer, I know that telehealth, telemedicine, online pharmacy, these really mushroomed during the lockdown. And in fact, the government passed laws as well. So this was a much needed, and I think a one of the very few positive plus points of pandemic that we've seen. It really has catapulted innovation and digital technologies in all sectors. But and you raised a point regarding reduced paperwork, etc. I think what all of us are now conscious about, and I think Umair, you also mentioned it, so I'll just come to you in a second, is environmental challenges and climate change. So I think not just customer experience or cost saving, we should all also be very conscious of what impact our organization is having on, you know, climate change. We've for years and years we've heard about please save trees, reduce your use of paper, but these were just words, but now we're actually seeing the effect on it. So I think digital innovation and technology will also help in saving the environment in more sustainable practices. Umair, you mentioned environmental challenges and you also mentioned disruption. So was it related to the pandemic or did you have something in mind, something else in mind when you mentioned that?
Okay. I think that regarding pandemic, we have all heard a lot of disastrous stories regarding pandemic, that economies were collapsing and everything was going down. But from my experience, I will just share two experiences. While I was working for a fintech in Pakistan, and that fintech basically earned their the highest profit for the last 25 years in during the pandemic, because the digital payments were going up, and the volume of the business actually was climbed skyrocket. So the another experience was here in the automotive industry. I was not here, but I have heard those stories that this market was not open for the Chinese automotive brands. So they were very particular about the Korean brands and Japanese brands. So when there were restrictions on the import from the Korea and Japan, basically Chinese inventory was available. And at that time, Almajdouie Motors launched a Chinese brand, and it was a big success because I think it grew like 5x in about a year or two, and that was the first Chinese brand that was launched here in 2019 or 2020. And then since then, there has been 30 Chinese brands that have been launched here in Saudi Arabia. So the market opened up for them. So these were two stories, and there will be many interesting stories if you find around you. Your other question was about sorry, could you repeat your other question?
It was about when we move towards innovation and digital technologies, and when we move away from, when we move to a paperless world, we're also saving the environment. And I think we've always spoken about don't cut trees, don't use paper too much, don't print, but now we're actually seeing the effect. So I think not just in terms of giving good customer service or cost saving for the organization and the customer, digital innovation also helps in conserving the environment, which is the need of the hour. Amongst other things, it's also the need of the hour. And you mentioned environmental challenges. I'm not sure in what context you mentioned it.
Okay, so I was referring to the political environment, social environment. So I was
Hmm.
referring to that environment. But if you talk about the environment as the climate or the sustainability, so I think that is also a very critical factor here, even in the Middle East, because if you see here,
Yes, rising temperatures. Yes.
there is no shortage of fuel because it's an oil producing country. Even then, if you see the Saudi Vision 2030, they have kept 30% of electric vehicles as their target by 2030.
Really.
Only reason is because they are more environment friendly. That's why they want to move from the combustion engine to the electric vehicles because they are more environmental friendly, and they're working on the new energy sources also. So this is all there's quite a lot of things happening for the environment sustainability in the Middle East. If you see UAE, if you see Oman, Qatar, all the GCC countries, they're working, I think, quite a lot on the environmental sustainability, and that basically leads to a lot of technological innovation, because there are new technologies that are coming up with the specific purpose of serving the or protecting the environment. So that is quite apart from the customer experience and boosting the sales. I think this environment sustainability is also a very critical factor.
No, you're right. And you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned that COVID was actually a blessing in disguise for the IT or the fintech sector. Truly, it was. We're seeing a lot of activity in this is the services sector, tertiary sector in Pakistan. But then, there are always two sides to a coin. And although it's not relevant to our topic, but we've seen negative impact on more traditional um, sectors in Pakistan. So while it's done wonders for the IT sector, it has had a negative impact on our manufacturing sector, etc. You mentioned Chinese vehicles and the focus or the preference to go for Korean, Japanese vehicles. So our law firm advised Shangan, it's a Chinese brand, Shangan Motors, on launching their cars, their automobiles in Pakistan. And I remember this was back in 2017. They said to us that they've been to other South Asian countries, but they feel that the demand for Chinese vehicles in Pakistan is less compared to India or other countries. So that was something very interesting when I heard. But this year, we advised, you mentioned electric vehicles. This year, we advised BYD on introducing their electric vehicles in Pakistan. Now, Pakistan has its own challenges. I think the country does need electric vehicles, but again, amongst many other challenges, customers might feel that when they get in electric vehicles, they need a charging port, etc. So there are other challenges. But moving to Mr. Jamil, um, I'm just conscious we're sort of we have about 20 minutes. So Mr. Jamil, can you you've given us an example of online bill payment, etc. But can you share a recent example where innovation and cost efficiency was successfully aligned in your organization?
Yes, in fact, there are numerous initiatives, and those initiatives, in fact, took boom practically after COVID, because at that time we learned what is remote working, what is work from home, because generally we used to see that work from home was considered as a day off for us.
Yes, it was
That
frowned
time,
upon.
yes, whenever you were calling someone, he was roaming around somewhere doing his grocery and rest of the stuff,
Yeah.
and generally occupied at home. So at that time, actually, we learned that what is work from home. So just talking in a brief about the recent initiatives about the technology transformations, like we did a real-time system implementation, which is accessible from all our offices to entertain our customers. And another initiative is that through the workflow implementation, we omitted that paper requirement, and the customers can conveniently visit our website and they can upload their documents. That is saved in a repository, and that is saved there, means for rest of the life as our reference, and that is properly logged and tracked, and that document can be referred anytime, and customers can very conveniently opt for their address change, for their ownership change, for updating their information, for their numbers updates, and they can also subscribe for e-bills. In that case, they have the option whether they just want the e-bill, or they want to have bill through SMS or WhatsApp, or they just want the paper bill, or they want both. So all these initiatives has made the customers' life easy, and with them, that has also facilitated us in a way that we can very conveniently refer that anytime, because the data is saved in a very, very safe and secure repository. Another thing which we recently did is the image processing of our meter reads, and we have means prototyped a system where we are verifying whether the print which is being forwarded on the bill as a meter read is a meter read, or it is something else. The AI system analyzes that, and if that is a meter image and that is clear, legible, and readable, only then it will be forwarded to the bill printing facility. Otherwise it will be marked invalid. So that has made our life easier, and also for our reputation, that in case it's not a bill meter read image, it will not be printed. So these are quite a few initiatives which we recently took, and we are working on our applications to facilitate our customers. Like we have recently offered totally online connection for domestic, industrial, and commercial customers. All the process can be automated through our website, and finally, the signed copy will be submitted by their nominated representative in our office, and whole the document submitted online will be in a very secure repository with us.
Okay, that's good to know. And I think some of the sort of earlier innovations which you mentioned, online bill payment, etc., that's not even an option; it's the need of the hour. But moving to Mr. Akbar, any example at your organization? Any sort of cutting edge example at your organization? You're on mute, sir.
Sorry. So a lot of examples are there, and just I mentioned that our objective and goal is the uh, patient-centric services, and the major goal in African countries and Asian countries is the access to that patient. So as I said, we recently we are moving to the EHR system, which is one of the number one EHR system we are implementing. So that is actually leveraging us to have the central system, one database, one system across all the globe. So that will actually reduce our paper cost, as I
Oh,
mentioned. The secondly, the major issue with our research institution was like Aga Khan University is one of the biggest research institution. We had the data, but we did not have the regional data for the analysis. Like the analysis being done on the global data, American data, or the other data. We do not have the regional data for the analysis, like African. No one knows what is the impact of that data in African rural areas. So we are collecting the data in a way which will be available for the analysis. Regional data will be available for the analysis for the Kenya. The local Kenyan regional data will be available for the analysis for Tanzania. The Tanzanian local data will be available for the analysis, and for Pakistan and the Honza, Gilgit, and rural areas, and the local data will be available. So the data analysis and we said the data analysis will be available for the research for the better treatment of the patient. So this is the major area which we are focusing. Like we said, we implemented the radiology pack system. So once we get the image of the X-ray or the MRI or the CT. So across the country, we have 28 centers. We have X-ray machines and the CT machines and the radiology machines. We don't need to deploy our report radiologist and report writers to write the reports. All the systems are connected. So
interesting.
that is the innovation. When they capture the images are readily available in the Dar es Salaam, and where the report writer are sitting and writing the reports in 2 hours, and in 2 hours the report is available for the patient for X-ray, and subsequently for MRI it's 24 hours. It's the time, but it saves actually the patient times and
Yes.
our cost for the report writers, because the resources are not easily available in far-flung
Right.
areas.
Yes.
Similarly, if I talk about the centralized ICU system, we recently deployed the centralized ICU system. We used to have one nurse within the ICU to treat one patient, and that once that nurse go outside, the patient monitors was not being monitored. So we have now interface all the patient monitors and ventilators and anesthesia machine with one system, and there is
Wow.
one counter where all nurses, two nurses are sitting 24/7 in the shifts to monitor the patient. Either the patient is in Mwanza, either the patient is in Dar es Salaam or any hospital. So we have
Wow.
interfaced all the monitors to actually monitor those patients. And further, the important thing is that that patient data is directly coming to our health record system. So though no one needs to repunch that data into the system. Actually, once you repunch the data, looking at the monitor to the system, there are medical errors, typo errors, blah blah. So this innovation actually leveraging as the cost efficiency and actually reduce our human resource time and human resource and increase our patient care efficiency. So there are a lot of example. If you go with the queue management system, we implemented the queue management system, and queue management system is tightly integrated with our system. We are monitoring the patient wait time. We are monitoring. We have increased actually the patient flow due to that, because patient was waiting. There was no monitoring. So now we know the lag time. So we have implemented BI with the support of AI to monitor. Is there any lag between the sample collection of lab and report writing? So, for example, our report readiness time is 2 hours. The report has to be ready within the 2 hours. And where we are lagging, is there any missing sample issue, recollection of the sample issue? So we have innovated our system in a way with the BI, with the AI, to look into these things, and we can say uh, we have efficiently overcome the issues which we were facing. So these are only few examples. There are a lot. If I will talk, I mean, we can take
No,
a lot
no,
of time.
that's very interesting and actually matters of life and death. And again, something that Mr. Jamil also mentioned is that digital innovation has encouraged remote working. I think in the mindset earlier was that if you're working remotely, that means you're wasting your time and you're not actually doing work. But the purpose is to achieve your goals, whether you're sitting at your office or whether you're working remotely. Umair, I'm conscious we're running short of time, but any examples from your organization?
Yeah, there are many things. We are basically working on a complete program for digital transformation and the overall business transformation as well. But one example I would like to cite is we recently implemented an inventory forecasting system that is an AI-based system. So the problems was we were having, because we apart from selling the cars, we also sell this car parts and do the after sales services. So there are about 20,000 line items of the car parts that we had to sell, and we didn't have any sort of automated mechanism to identify which parts we should order and how much. So we were relying on the people's own experience, people's wisdom on how much inventory to offer. But then we had this solution available and we implemented it, and fortunately our cost of orders has reduced by 50% and the parts availability has gone up. So basically it all reflects into the customer satisfaction, that he will get the latest parts available all the time and in a very reduced cost. So we have killed two birds in with one stone, that is the customer satisfaction, customer experience with parts availability, and also we have reduced our cost by 50%. So our main topic today was cost efficiency. So I think that that is quite relevant to this discussion. So that's why I started this example, and other things
Correct. Yeah,
like the
please.
dealer management system and other things we've been doing. So yeah.
Yes, no, you're right. Again, so 3 points: customer satisfaction, better sort of product and service, and cost efficiency. So I think I'll just have one last question, which is, we know Aga Khan is a large organization, one of the largest hospitals in the region. Sui Southern, of course, or Sui Gas is the major gas provider in Pakistan, and I'm sure, Umair, your organization is also a large scale. So one last question is, how can smaller organizations with limited budgets and limited resources remain innovative while keeping costs in check, but ensuring the same outcome, which is customer satisfaction, cost efficiency, and better service? So, Mr. Jamil, starting from you.
Yes, this is very relevant question, and in our region, most of the companies are working on smaller scales.
Right.
So one thing which I would like to mention is that they can segregate their projects into smaller ones, and they can opt for an agile approach, and high valued impact processes can be identified first, and then the relevant stakeholders can be engaged in that. Then we have a lot of options and provisions. We always don't want to reinvent the wheel. If there is a good solution available in the market which is tried and tested, we can always go for that. With that, we can also look for some tools which are available in the market at a much lower price, or we also have some software with means freeware type softwares which are secure. We can opt for that. We can use those softwares, and when our users are fully equipped to use that, and they have adopted that technology, and change management process has been means adopted by the users, then we can go for a big solution which can have a major impact with a much higher footprint within the organization. But we should never try in a smaller organization for a product which is high valued, or for which we have not done any initial working. Secondly, tools which are tried and tested, they can always opt that. Freewares can be utilized. And another thing is that for smaller organizations, they can always adopt the latest technology offerings which are cloud based. We have solution based on clouds, plus they can also use those cloud based services. Now we have platform as a service, we have hardware as a service, we have a lot of stuff which is being offered as a service, and pay as you go model can be a very good choice for smaller organizations. So while selecting the solution or the software or any innovative technology, we should keep all these things in mind, so that the smaller organization can also have the flavor of that digitization and transformation.
Yes, thank you. Same question for you, Mr. Akbar.
So, good question. We are asking for the low cost, high taste burger. So one thing we should keep in mind that technology and innovation should not be very expensive. Uh, and that is the right question. How the smaller organization can have the leverage of that technology with the cost efficiency. Very important thing which everyone have to keep in mind, that we should find the solution which are fit for the purpose. Technology is very extensive. Technology is very extensive. We can say we buy this, we can have this technology, but when we select any product in Aga Khan Hospital, we always think 10 times that what is fit for our purpose. For example, the queue management system we were buying a few days back, and then we were thinking that what is actually required for the radiology, what is actually queue management system. Queue management system has 6 features, but for radiology needs only 2 features, pharmacy needs only 1 feature, while the consultant clinics need all 6 features. So why we should buy the 6 feature QMS for all those departments? So we should, and the smaller organization should also be take care of that. Be clear that what they need and what is fit for their purpose. Very important thing. The second very important thing where I should focus on that, go with the phased approach, because technology is changing. So they should go with the phased approach. They should go with the pilot project, and on the successful on that pilot project, they can move on. They can see the results of the pilot project, go with the phased approach, and they can leverage that. The third approach which we are using, and which I suggest to my colleagues and viewers, that ask from your sister concern that do they need the same thing. If they need the same thing, then go with the collective approach, go with the group purchase, go with the group solution. Instead, go with the one by one solution. For example, in terms of software, what the changes we required, we should not pay 2 times, 3 times for each organization. Then that will be the collective approach, where we can reduce our cost, and we can buy the technology in very efficient cost. uh, Focus on the ROI, because once we are preparing the ROI, it's always we are thinking about the short-term ROI. We should think about the long-term ROI. What is the cost of ownership? If we are buying this thing for 5 years, what will be the cost? And if these things which we are buying is going to help us for 10 years, what is the ROI? So these are few things which we should adopt, and collaboration approach is very important. Very important thing for the technology and innovation is that it is changing very rapidly. So whenever we buy anything, we should think the life of that technology. Because after 3 years, if I say to my management that, oh, this technology is going to change now, we need to change our technology, then the cost impact will be very high. So for smaller organization or the mid-range organization, this is very important to actually research in a better way what is the life of the technology, when this technology is going to expire, and select your product accordingly, and be in touch with the vendors, select your product accordingly. I think these are few things which can help small organization to have the innovation with very efficient costs.
Thank you. Finally, Umair, same question.
Okay, I think my friends have already covered a few different aspects like free innovation, open innovation. They've talked about the phased approach, the iterations, doing the pilots. But I think one important additional thing I would like to mention is having your innovation funnel, because there is so much influx of innovative ideas, innovative technologies that is coming in. It's very difficult to say no to these technologies because they're so attractive, and they're most of them are successfully implemented elsewhere in the world. So it is very difficult to say no. So as an organization, regardless of the size of the organization, we have to learn how to say no to a particular technology. There should be a mechanism to kill the ideas, to kill the proposals for innovative technologies. Otherwise, you will be lost in so many technologies that you'll end up nowhere. So you have to find what's the right fit for you, as Akber sir mentioned, and what's your critical problem right now to be solved, and how sustainable is your solution, what's the life cycle. So you have to develop a business case, because as an innovator or as a technical person, you have very little stakes, and you proudly say that I'm a risk taker. Okay, you're going to propose something to the management, but the management who is going to invest has very high stakes. So you have to go with absolutely that is going to be that is vital to be solved right now, and you have to prioritize the problem space and the problems to be solved now. And there are a lot of free and open innovation solutions available for smaller companies, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But the inefficiencies, I would like to say that they're going to hurt more to the larger organizations than the smaller organizations, because the size of their inefficiencies or the volume of their inefficiencies is going to be much larger than the smaller organizations. So they need to be more focused on the cost efficiencies while implementing these innovative technologies, but because they are the ones who are looking for those enterprise level solutions and with big budgets. The startups and the smaller companies, they are mostly making a good use of the free innovation and the open innovation that is going around in the world. So that's the last step, I think. The last advice, that focus on your problems and start small. Look for the quick wins. Look for the solutions that fits your needs, rather than what's trending in the world.
Thank you. Very interesting and a very good point that not every innovation needs to be implemented. Some innovation need to be killed as well. Thank you very much. I had a lot more questions, but we'll probably have a part two on this. So thank you very much for your time, your insights, and your wisdom. Have a good rest of the day, and hopefully we'll have another session on this topic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay.